Thanks so much for tuning into this week's episode of Behind the Masterpiece. I'm your host, Brian Hersh, also CEO for the Arts and Cultural Alliance of Sarasota County. You can catch Behind the Masterpiece at visitsarasota.com. But joining us today, all the way from the Royal Ballet, is Francisco Serrano. Francisco, welcome to Behind the Masterpiece.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, guys.
It's awesome to have you. This is a homecoming of sorts for you. Of course, you're going to be performing with the Sarasota Cuban Ballet, and that's this weekend on Saturday. And people can go to srqcubanballet.org to learn more about Sarasota Cuban Ballet, and tickets.sarasota opera to get those tickets as well. But Francisco, let's start with this. What are you doing? How did you get to the Royal Ballet, and what are you doing there?
We're doing a lot over there. It was a bit of a process to get there. I have to first of all give kudos to my parents. They're the ones that kind of got me there. If I'm being honest, I started ballet quite late, so it was a very intense kind of program that we try to make up to get myself going. And went through YGP, New York. There's a little ballet competition over there in New York.
So Youth Grand Prix, is that right?
Yes, exactly. Youth, yeah. And I got a scholarship to the Royal Ballet School.
In London?
In London, exactly. Yeah, in London, in the UK. Very far away, I have to say. We actually deferred a year just because, first of all, I don't think I was ready technically with, the short amount of time I was kind of doing ballet. And the fact that it was, a 9-hour flight, I don't think my mom was very comfortable with that. She was like, there's no way you're leaving at 16.
How old were you? Oh, 16. Okay.
16, yeah. And never had left home, really. I was very family orientated. So we would, it's not normal to, not even, I saw my grandmother every weekend. So it would be a very big move. So we deferred a year. And then the second year, luckily, they asked me to join again. So then I spent 2 years at the upper school, which they actually have a lower school called White Lodge, but that's for a lot younger students. This is more for, I want to say, 15 to 18. And so, I spent 2 years there, and then I got a contract with the Royal Ballet, which it's been amazing. It's been a long, I want to say, I've been in the UK for 11 years. I think it's my now 10th season with the company. This is coming into my 10th season. 12th year in the UK in total. It's been great. It's been a massive learning process. I mean, especially coming from Sarasota, taking class with my parents every day, and just having a very tight group. Here, I mean, at the beginning, it was just me, my sister, my cousin, taking class. And then, I get into a class with 20 other boys, and then into a company with, all these amazing dancers that you see on YouTube and videos. It's been a big learning curve, but it's been something that I can't appreciate, anymore. I've learned so much about myself and just about the, world of dance in general. From actually getting into contemporary dance, something that I didn't do here whatsoever. Kind of refining my technique over there. It's a bit, different style, from what, I was used to, at least. And just also the range, like the range that they have is absolutely amazing. We quite literally do everything within. It could be we do a contemporary, a very classical ballet, and a neoclassical ballet in the same month, rehearsing and performing different things. But the range is absolutely crazy. So it's been an absolute pleasure. Yeah,
amazing. Well, congrats to you. I think for anyone listening, to make it into a company like the Royal Ballet is I think for those maybe in the sports world, it's like making it to a global powerhouse sort of team. And it takes so much practice and dedication to do that. Kudos. But tell us, now that you've spent about 10, 11 years, in London with the Royal Ballet, what's a typical day look like? You alluded to the diversity of the repertoire and so many things. So when you get up because it doesn't just start with an evening performance. There's a lot of work that happens. Tell us a day in the life for you in rehearsal with the Royal Ballet.
So it really depends on the schedule. So if it were to be a day without a show, we would do 10:30 class until 11:15, and then from there, 10:30 class to 11:45, and then from 12 o'clock on until 6:30, we have rehearsals. Again, it depends on your casting, what ballet it is. Sometimes you go from 12 to 6:30. On the very busy days, sometimes no breaks. Very small lunch break, half hour, which is never enough. You kind of want to relax, but it's not always like that. On a show day, this is when it gets a bit tricky. Is you again 10:30 class, 12 till 5 o'clock rehearsals, which it could be a fully, it could be a whole different ballet. It could be a whole different genre of dance. It could be a contemporary, show in the evening, but you're rehearsing a neoclassical piece, or several pieces during the day, so it's not even the same ballet you're rehearsing. And then you do a show from 7:30 till 10:30. So on those days, it's 10:30 to 10:30. Obviously, you're not dancing the whole day. You have your breaks. You have from 5 to 7:30. But, within that time, you need to eat. You need to recover. Hopefully, you can take a nap if you have enough time. Re-warm up for the show. Do the show, and then you're done at 10:30. And in between all that, you have stage calls sometimes that start at 9:30. So you do class at 9:30 in the morning. Stage call could start the earliest 11:45, I believe, if I remember correctly. And those last 3 hours, a couple hours, and then you could have a different show in the evening. It really depends on the schedule, but it's a lot of work. I have to say it's a whole season of that. You finish and you can you feel beat up, but at the end of the day, that's what we love, and everyone can moan and groan about their pains and how long the day is, but at the end of the day, I think when you get that satisfaction from a show or a role that you do, it's within yourself. You're like, okay, it was worth it. It's the time spent, the hours spent rehearsing, even not just rehearsing physically but mentally. There's a big thing of that pressure of performance is that mental strain is real, and it's something that it's hard to some people just have it, but some people really have to work on that that mental strength, because it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. It's just show after show. So
yeah, sounds incredible. We're going to talk more about mind and body in a minute. But Francisco, you did get your start here in a lot of ways with the Sarasota Cuban Ballet. Tell us, how did training with the Sarasota Cuban Ballet prepare you to be with the Royal Ballet?
What my parents did really was give me a base. Sadly, there was no time to kind of get to the end of the training in a way. I think it was a very short kind of interrupted a training, which is sad, but I think at the end of the day, it was worth it. I think you could always spend more hours and more, let's say, years, perfecting something or trying to get as close to perfection as possible. But they gave me basically the history books of the Cuban technique, and the Cuban technique has a lot to do with turning, jumping, a bit more bravura than some, but I would say it's a very punchy technique, very strong to the floor, a lot of jumps, again, turns. I'm just taking class now. I forget how many turns they do in, a single combination in class. It's just even if you're not on, you gotta, you got a few more tries to get yourself, on balance and whatnot. And also it's funny, I also feel a different sense of energy in the classes with we have a few Cuban teachers here. And I forget the intensity that they bring and the passion, the the force they give the corrections with, and everything. It's, not that other, not that other techniques don't have that, but maybe it's something, from what I remember from home. I feel like they all come, the Cuban technique comes from just like hard work, hardship as well. Cuba is for a long time, struggled just in any sense. So I think they put a lot behind it. They put a lot of themselves behind it. So whenever someone teaches or you take class, it's 100% or nothing. And yeah, I have to say what my parents gave me was basically just a very good base of, of the basic steps of, the jumps and the turns that I would have to do later on in my career now as a professional dancer. So I would say they definitely got me ready. I had a lot to learn afterwards, especially kind of making my way into the English system, if you'd like to say. Things are a little bit calmer, different port de bras, different sense of port de bras, different, like, as in the sense of different arms and how you hold yourself and how you go through the stage. But I can't be any more appreciative of what they gave me as a base, to kind of go off and start my own career.
Here. We're, of course, talking to Francisco Serrano of the Royal Ballet, but here performing with the Sarasota Cuban Ballet. And I think you get a sense his parents are at the helm leading the way, which is really great and considerable. There's going to be a performance on stage 2025 this weekend, July 19th at 6 p.m. You can always get information by going to srqcubanballet.org, and of course tickets by going to ticket.sarasotaopera.org as well. So Francisco, thanks for telling us a little bit about the Cuban style. For sure, I think it's something people are really curious about. Walk back through that balance of mind and body. It sounds like you and all your peers going through, and that's really the ballet world. It's not just alone for the Royal Ballet, but every ballet company has something similar. So how do you really balance that mind and body as you're moving from student, but of course those performance days and seasons, you just described as long. So what do you do to maintain your mental attitude and your physical fitness as well?
It's a great question. And before that, actually, it's funny. I was just thinking, and I think when you're in school, or from when I remember when I was here with my parents, there was almost they were so there and so active that there was no need, no way that my mind could kind of wander. So I never necessarily had struggles with motivating myself or getting getting going for a rehearsal or whatnot. But obviously, when I went away to the school and to the company, I was basically alone in a way, and I definitely struggled at first. It was hard to kind of gauge what I needed and what I didn't need for my own, personal career, mentally and physically. I struggled a lot with injury at the beginning, just kind of getting through that. And then also on top of that, getting through performances on your own in a way. You also have, coworkers and coaches to help you. But at the end of the day, it's you dancing out there, and you have to get yourself, if something doesn't go well, you have to, forget about it and just keep going. But it's hard. Obviously, you get stuck sometimes, and you're like, oh, that didn't go well. I kind of want to give up. But it's honestly, it's one of the most important things. More, you practice every day to get the physical. You practice every day to get the technique down, to hopefully get it as flawless as possible. But I feel like sometimes the mental, you sort of only practice on stage, especially if something goes wrong. You're like, oh, okay, how can I get through this situation that I, maybe in rehearsal I could have stopped, or they were speaking to you on how to fix it, straight away. But on stage, you're by yourself, like that's just you, a few people that you're dancing with, and that it takes a lot of time. It's funny. A long time ago, people would say like, experience is needed. And I, in a way, as a young teenager, I was like, oh, it's fine. Get on stage, do what you got to do, and that's it. But I look back and like, experience is, it's almost everything. Like it's, if you know how to get yourself out of a rut, if you know how to get yourself, back to where you need to be, during the performance, that is what I call professional. That is what, you need to, and nothing's going to be perfect. It's not always going to be flawless. How can you get yourself back to where you need to get to, deliver a good performance, not only for you, for your satisfaction, but for the audience, so it doesn't, take away from what they're seeing. The combination of the physical and the mental, honestly, if once you get that right, you get into a flow state. I know a lot of people are talking about flow state these days. It's like, and you feel like you're on cloud nine. You're like, oh, everything's working, and you're just like, you're not even thinking to yourself. You're just there. You're enjoying it. You're taking all the small acting and interpretation moments, and like it's you. It's not, it's you there, and the body feels good. You feel strong. Once you get that, together and combined, I think that's what makes people stay in this career, because you get that like euphoria of like, okay, this is what it's about. Okay, I've unlocked the mental side of it, the hard work that you've put in for days and days and days and hours in the studio. I've combined it with the physical, going to the gym, doing Pilates. On side note, meditating. If you're an anxious person, if once you get that combined and together, it's, it's a big need for a professional dancer. If one's missing, it's just a little bit, it's just not, it's not even. It's you need the balance. You need the balance for sure.
I appreciate you sharing the harmony and the balance that it takes to get through. It's really remarkable. Francisco Serrano of the Royal Ballet, and performing this weekend with the Sarasota Cuban Ballet. So, Francisco, I know you'll be performing with Leticia Diaz as well. Tell us a little bit about what are we going to see? What are we going to see you do this weekend? What are some of the highlights?
So we're going to do a pas de deux. It's called Diane in Action. It's a grand pas de deux, so it's going to be a duo between her and I, with actual some quarter ballet dancers as well. So you'll see them at first. We come on, do our pas de deux. I do a solo, she does a solo, and then at the end we kind of come together for this exciting kind of coda. And it's a grand pas de deux. It's again, going back to the Cuban technique, it's a lot of jumps, a lot of turns, exciting. That bravura is there. It's a hunter and the hunted in a way, and a goddess. So it's a lot to do with that like attitude that you need, especially with the Cuban technique, behind it. It's exciting. It's definitely going to be something exciting for the audience.
Awesome. Well, it sounds exciting indeed. Sarasota is lucky to have you come back. The Royal Ballet is lucky to have you. We're talking to Francisco Serrano of the Royal Ballet, and performing this weekend with the Sarasota Cuban Ballet. You can go to srcubanballet.org to get more information. And of course, tickets.sarasotaopera.org to get tickets. You can listen to this episode of Behind the Masterpiece. I'm your host, Brian Hersh, by going to visitsarasota.com. Francisco, thanks so much for being on Behind the Masterpiece.
Thank you very much, guys. Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Reed. Really appreciate it.
Pleasure. All right. Until next time, we'll see you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Behind the Masterpiece, brought to you by Visit Sarasota County. For more and to hear this podcast, go to visitsarasota.com.